This is Ask a Couples Counsellor, a show that answers all the relationship questions you're too afraid to ask. On the show, we'll take your questions and give you the tools you need to build trust and intimacy with your partner. I'm your host, Neha Kapoor. I'm a registered clinical counsellor and psychotherapist, and I'm really passionate about helping couples navigate the challenges that we all go through. Because after all, every relationship encounters some stormy weather now and then. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ask a Couples Counsellor. Today, we're diving into a topic that I see many couples face, but can sometimes feel tricky to navigate: exploring kinks, fantasies, and sexual dynamics in long-term monogamous relationships. We'll be answering some of your most pressing questions, starting with how to support a partner who has shared a kink that might be outside of your comfort zone. Next, we'll explore how to introduce and explore kinks together while maintaining trust and respect, especially when you're in a long-term relationship. And finally, we'll talk about the right timing. How early is it too early to bring sex toys, fantasies, or kinks into a relationship? Is there even such a thing as too early? Whether you're curious about how to have these conversations or you're unsure of how to navigate these boundaries, we've got you covered. So let's jump straight into it. Our first question today comes from an anonymous listener. Let's have a listen to their question.
My partner has told me about a kink they have, and I want to be supportive, but I'm struggling to get on board. What should I do?
This is such an interesting question because it invites reflection on how to handle discomfort without compromising personal values, making it a significant topic in the realm of relationship dynamics and emotional well-being. And look, it's not uncommon for me to see this type of question come up in a couples therapy setting. So firstly, I'd like to start by saying that it's great that you want to be supportive of your partner's openness. And in a situation like this, I usually say communication is key. So there are a few steps that you can take. Firstly, I would say try and understand your feelings first. So reflect on your own feelings about the kink. It's normal to have initial reactions that may include discomfort, confusion, or curiosity. But be honest with yourself about why you're struggling to get on board, whether it's about your values, your past experiences, or your comfort levels. The other thing that I would say is have open dialogue. Having a non-judgmental conversation with your partner about the kink is very important. So let them know that you appreciate their honesty and trust, and ask questions to better understand their desires, what it means to them, and the role that they hope it might play in your relationship. And this can help you explore whether these are aspects of the kink that you're comfortable with, or if they are boundaries that need to be set. And that brings me to our next point of establishing boundaries. It's very important to honor your own comfort levels. And if you're not comfortable engaging in certain activities, communicating those boundaries clearly is essential. So compromise doesn't mean pushing yourself into something you're not okay with. Your partner should respect where you're at emotionally and physically. And seeking balance is very important. If you're open to exploring, consider starting small. You can experiment with aspects of the kink that you're most comfortable with. And over time, this might help you feel more at ease. However, I would say that if it continues to be something that you're not aligned with, it's okay to express that too. And if the topic creates ongoing tension or discomfort, seek support. A couples therapist could provide a safe space to explore these feelings more deeply and find common ground that honors both of your needs. Look, ultimately, it's about mutual respect and compromise, and ensuring that both of you feel safe, valued, and understood in the relationship. I hope that answers your question. All right, let's have a listen to our second question for today, which comes from Priya in Melbourne. Let's have a listen to Priya's question.
How do I explore kinks as a person in a long term monogamous relationship?
I find this question intriguing, Priya, because it highlights the delicate balance between maintaining a long term partnership and exploring new dimensions of intimacy. Look, exploring kinks in a long term monogamous relationship can be a very positive experience that deepens intimacy, but it requires careful communication and mutual understanding. As a couples therapist, here's what I would suggest. Firstly, I would say communicate openly. So, the foundation for exploring any new sexual dynamic is open, honest communication. And start by creating a safe, non judgmental space to talk with your partner about your interests and curiosities. Frame it as a desire to enhance your intimacy and connection, not as a criticism of your current sex life. And let me give you an example of how you can do this. So, say to your partner, hey, whatever their name is, I've been thinking about ways we can deepen our connection and intimacy, and I want to talk about something that's been on my mind. But I want you to know that I love what we already have. I'm really happy with our relationship, and this is more about exploring something new together, not because I feel anything is missing. How would you feel about trying something different, like sex toys or fantasies or kinks? Of course, I only want to explore things you're comfortable with, and it's totally fine if it's not something you're into. I just wanted to be open with you about my thoughts and see if we could talk about it. Now, if you approach it like this, it frames the conversation positively and reassures your partner that you're happy with the current relationship and opens the door for mutual exploration, ensuring that they feel safe and comfortable and respected. The other thing that I would say is understand each other's boundaries. Be clear about what you're both comfortable with and establish boundaries early on. Just as you might have fantasies or kinks you want to explore, your partner may have their own limits. So it's very crucial that both of you feel safe and respected throughout the process. And take it slow. Introducing new dynamics gradually is very important, especially if it's new territory for both of you. So start with small steps like discussing fantasies or trying minor elements of the kink or incorporating it into a role play rather than diving in fully, right? This allows both of you to gauge your comfort levels and adjust if needed. And maintain trust and consent throughout because trust is essential in any long term relationship, and consent should always be ongoing. So, at any point, either partner should feel comfortable expressing discomfort or changing their mind without fear of judgment or pressure. So, regular check ins are a great way to ensure both partners remain comfortable and engaged. I would also say consider professional guidance if there's uncertainty or tensions in the relationship. So, seeing a couples therapist who specializes in sex therapy could provide a neutral space to explore your desires while addressing any concerns. And this can be particularly helpful if either partners feel conflicted or unsure about integrating new elements into your sex life. So, by staying communicative, patient, and respectful of each other's boundaries, exploring kinks can be a way to strengthen your relationship and create a deeper sense of intimacy and trust. I hope that answers your question, Priya. All right, let's have a listen to our last question for today, which comes from Lucy.
Hi, my name's Lucy, and I just want to ask, how early is too early to introduce sex toys, fantasies, and kinks into a relationship?
I think this question is thought provoking, Lucy, because it encourages reflection on individual comfort levels, relationship dynamics, and the importance of communication and fostering a healthy sexual connection. Look, the timing of when to introduce sex toys, fantasies, or kinks into a relationship depends more on the emotional connection, trust, and comfort between partners rather than on the duration of the relationship. So there are some factors to consider. Firstly, I would say the emotional readiness and trust is very important in the relationship. So it's important to ensure that both partners feel emotionally secure and trust each other before introducing new sexual dynamics. And if the relationship is still in the building trust phases, introducing these elements too early can feel overwhelming or create pressure. So, a solid emotional foundation helps ensure that both partners feel safe and respected. Something else to consider is open communication. So the key is not about too early, but rather how comfortable both of you are with the idea. Early in a relationship, have open and honest conversations about sexual preferences, desires, and boundaries. And if you both feel comfortable discussing these topics, then it may indicate readiness to explore them. And have respect for boundaries. In my experience, some couples may feel comfortable discussing and exploring sex toys or fantasies early on, while others may need more time. So, what's important is to introduce these elements gradually and ensure that both partners feel respected. Consent and mutual interest should guide the process. Introducing toys, fantasies, or kinks should never feel like an obligation. So, early on in a relationship, both partners should still be learning about each other's needs and comfort zones. So, rushing into these discussions without understanding each other's boundaries can cause discomfort or create misunderstandings. So, ensure that the conversations are framed in a way that respects each partner's willingness and interest. And try and check the emotional impact. So, introducing these elements too early can sometimes create emotional pressure or expectations that one or both partners aren't ready for. So, if either partners feels unsure, it's best to take a step back and revisit the conversation later when the relationship has matured further. All right, I hope that answers your question, Lucy. And before I go, if you have any burning questions you want answered, send them to novoempowercounselling@gmail.com. Let's navigate this journey together because better relationships start with understanding. I can't wait to hear from you. You've been listening to Ask a Couples Counselor, a show that answers all the relationship questions you're too afraid to ask. This show is produced by Novo Empower Counselling. We provide a range of services, including couples counselling, individual counselling, and online counselling. To find out more, visit our website novoempowercounselling.com.au. This show was produced with strategy and production support from Wavelength Creative. To make sure you don't miss an episode of Ask a Couples Counselor, be sure to subscribe to or follow the show in your podcast app. And while you're there, I'd love it if you could leave me a 5-star review. It really helps others find the show. I'm your host, Neha Kapoor, and I'll see you in the next episode.